So what is one of the worst horror stories you've seen, working for Pike?
Sure. So about a year and a half ago, I dealt with a fatality on the job site. It was a 31-year-old male fell from about 12 feet off of a roof straight down onto the concrete. He died immediately. But the worst part about it was I had to hear his brother-in-law, who was his boss, on the phone with the guy's wife, the boss's sister, and had to tell her that he wasn't coming home today. And come to find out, they had three girls. The youngest one was 8 months old.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy Gwaltney with Outback Deck, and today we're here with Shane Henderson from Pike Consulting Group. He's going to answer some questions for us about how safety and quality craftsmanship can help with job site production. So why don't you start, Shane, by telling us a little bit about yourself and kind of what the goal of Pike Consulting is.
Sure. How's it going? I'm like you said, I'm Shane Henderson with Pike Consulting Group. We represent construction companies in understanding what the laws are that deal with OSHA compliance, but more so, we want to make sure that all the employees and the workers go home at the end of every day.
How much of the United States does Pike Consulting cover?
So we're in 8 different states right now, all the way out to Denver, Colorado, and Phoenix, Arizona. We concentrate a lot in the southeast, but we also have operations as far as Ohio, and then as far west as I mentioned.
Awesome. And where did the location originally start?
Started here in Atlanta, South Atlanta. The principal, the owner of Pike Consulting Group, Mitchell Smith, was a longtime builder and firefighter. And when OSHA started looking at residential construction back in 2009, he noticed a need within his own company to develop a safety program and compliance. And then from there, it just kind of grew from other people recognizing that this was coming and that they needed to do something with their company.
Shane, about how many contractors or companies use Pike Consulting?
So we have over 500 customers, but we currently represent about 150 active clients that use our monthly services.
What type of construction companies are you guys covering?
Yep. So we work with everyone from big residential home builders. We work with small individual subcontracting companies. We also work with industrial manufacturing companies as well. So we have a multitude of different type of customers that need help in understanding what is required for compliance and also how to make sure that their employees stay safe.
All right, Shane, so what is one of the most common safety issues you have seen in the field?
So the one that really strikes out the most is fall protection. It tends to be not tends to be it is the number one killer in construction. People falling from heights greater than 6 feet, and it's also kind of difficult, especially when you have a custom project like this, where you're not sure where you're going to tie off or how you're going to accomplish that. So we try to work with companies to come up with good plans on how they're going to accomplish fall protection before they even get started, and then come out to ensure that the crews are actually implementing those steps.
Companies that use you guys with the random inspections that you do, do you often see those that fall protection happen a lot more often?
So yeah, we do. Once we get in and try to help curtail that, we do see a increase in the use of the fall protection and actually putting it up. Unfortunately, the best crews tend to be the ones that have either had an accident in the past or received an OSHA citation. We try to encourage people to do something and to be, you know, to do something about it before they get those fines.
So what is one of the worst horror stories you've seen, working for Pike?
Sure. So about a year and a half ago, I dealt with a fatality on the job site. It was a 31-year-old male fell from about 12 feet off of a roof straight down onto the concrete. He died immediately. But the worst part about it was I had to hear his brother-in-law, who was his boss, on the phone with the guy's wife, the boss's sister, and had to tell her that he wasn't coming home today. And come to find out, they had three girls. The youngest one was 8 months old.
Wow, that is definitely a horror story. Goodness. And not that exact incident happens often, but you did say fall protection is or falling is one of the most common casualties. So is that something that you guys deal with kind of often?
Every day. That is our number one priority when we go out to the job sites, is to ensure that fall protection is in place. because of the risk severity, as well as it's the number one cited violation for OSHA as well. But more so because of the implications of if you do fall, the risk of serious injury or death are much higher than a lot of other aspects.
How would you say safety inspections improve the contracting crew's experience?
Sure. So one thing that we find is that the crews really believe that you actually care. So we want to make them understand that we want them to go home at the end of the day. We're not just out here for show. We're not just out here to make sure nobody gets a fine. We genuinely care and want them to go home at the end of the day. And sometimes they're reluctant to implement the things that we're telling them to do. But at the end of the day, they can respect that we're out here for them to make sure they go home to their families.
Can that be something that is difficult to get across to certain companies?
It can because let's face it, with the guys that are going to do this job in the first place, you got to have a little bit of guts in order to do it. So trying to tell a guy that is not very scared of these things that you have to put on all this stuff and protect yourself from falling, it kind of goes against their nature in the first place. So
Sure.
we have to try to come at it from a compassionate level and say, look, we want you to go home to your family at night. We don't want something to happen to you where you can't provide for your family. And beyond that, if you still don't want to do it, then there are fines and other types of reprimands that we put in place to ensure that they follow the rules.
How does Pike improve the homeowner's experience?
Okay, so yeah, the homeowner, can incur some liability with having crews on site working, performing dangerous tasks. When we come out, we want to make sure that the crews are keeping things clean, that they're keeping pathways in and out, and that they're complying with the rules. The homeowners take a little bit more notice to that, especially when the crew looks more professional, and that they're looking to see if a crew is executing the job in a professional manner. And I think that increases their perception of the company. You know, as a quality company, you guys want to make sure that you have quality employees out there working. And if everything looks terrible and you've got all kinds of safety issues out there, I think that diminishes the homeowner's idea of what quality should be.
So, how does Outback Deck rank in terms of your list of companies a part of Pike?
Okay, so Outback Deck is one of the better companies that we work with. Outback tends to be very proactive when it comes to safety and wanting to make sure that their crews are doing the right thing. They're very responsive when we have any questions or concerns on the job site, and very good at getting us locations and ensuring that the crews are where they're supposed to be and in a timely manner.
And do you know if we have had any citations that we've had to pay?
Since we've been working with Outback, you have not received any citations.
What type of injuries do you see on the job when companies don't use best safety practices?
Okay, so obvious are the fall protection injuries. Obviously, those are the most severe, but common injuries that we see are eye injuries from not using eye protection while
Mm.
using power tools, um, things hitting people on the head from falling objects, from not wearing hard hats, and also if guards are retracted on the saws and pinned back, things like that. Good lacerations and amputations, we see that as well.
What commonalities or types of themes do you typically see with companies or contractors that have an average score of an A on their safety deck inspections or safety inspections?
Sure. So it's attention to detail. You know, with the crews that are out there, the better crews tend to be the ones that take the time to plan and to make sure that they have a plan for when they get to this stage, how they're going to accomplish that fall protection, or ensuring that they're not letting their crews hold the guards back on the saws and things like that. So I would say that it's attention to detail from the individual crew up to the project manager up to the company to make sure that there's oversight on that to ensure that the guys are doing what they're supposed to do.
We appreciate your time so much and look forward to, you know, working with you more and more as the years go on. How long has Outback been with you guys?
3 years.
3 years. And it's definitely not something we will discontinue anytime soon because we really appreciate what they do for us and what they do for our crews. And we've only seen improvement in our workers and our just overall homeowner experience and contractor experience since we've been working with Pike. So thanks.